Good Thursday morning, everybody, and welcome to DMS 3000 News Live, episode 17, on Thursday, July 6th, 2023. And I am Brandon Martin, your host for this. And on today's show, we will be talking about the do's and don'ts for state and local government on housing. That'll be at the 5:30 a.m. hour. Then on the 6 o'clock hour, we'll look at the happy 77th birthday to Sylvester Stallone. And then we'll wrap up with the 29th anniversary of the movie Forrest Gump. And plus, headlines, sports, and what day is today. That will be covered. So with that being said, let's get to the headlines on Thursday, July the 6th, 2023. Under a judge's new ruling, much of the federal government is now barred from working with social media companies to address moving in any content that might contain projected free speech. When Russia launches an airstrike on Kyiv, the first line of defense is parked in a hayfield well outside the city. The protection consists of two soldiers, a Humvee, and a Stinger missile. REI, the shopping mecca for outdoor enthusiasts, has balked at recognizing its newly unionized workers. They accuse the retailer of breaking labor laws, which the company denies. Hikers found the woman at Borderland State Park in Massachusetts, and police used all-terrain vehicles to rescue her. Munich's main synagogue was one of the first to be destroyed in Nazi Germany under Hitler's orders. No one knew what had become of the rubble. Under construction workers made a discovery last week. Users get a Twitter-like microblogging experience, according to screenshots provided to media, suggesting that Meta Platforms has been gearing up to directly challenge the platform. U.S. Secret Service agents found the powder during a routine White House sweep on Sunday in a small clear plastic bag on the ground in a heavily trafficked area, according to sources. The iconic spindly plants are under threat from a variety of factors, including climate change and development, and the California legislature is stepping in to help. Lin Wood was part of a group of attorneys that peddled false 2020 election allegations and filed lawsuits looking to overturn the results in former President Donald Trump's favor. Kim Brady Carricker, 40 years, was apprehended by police shortly after the shooting. Two boys, aged 13 and 2, were also shot and injured. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen is on her way to Beijing for talks with her Chinese counterparts. The meeting comes at a tense time with tit-for-tat trade restrictions and rising strategic frictions. Alicia Roth-Weigel is one of the three activists profiled in Julie Cohen's new documentary. She says intersex is an umbrella term for people whose anonymity doesn't fit super neatly into a binary box. Some of the hottest global weather is recorded history is happening this week. It's likely that records will continue to fall this year. Zelensky made the alarming claim in his nightly video address, adding that he believes the Russians may soon damage the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant and blame Ukraine. Gun violence takes a long-lasting toll on entire communities, not just those injured or killed. Women return to the job market in droves. 3 reasons why tipping has gone out of control. And the pandemic was hard on working women, but they've come roaring back into the labor force. The share of working age women who have jobs or want one hit an all-time high in May. And that is the headlines for Thursday, July 6, 2023. And now we go to the sports, as the MLB has the Home Run Derby field is all set. The bracket shakes out, which is the following. The first round matchups follows Luis Robert Jr., the number 1, versus number 8, Adley Rutschman. Number 2, Pete Alonso will go up against Julio Rodriguez, the number 7. Number 3, Mookie Betts going up against the number 6, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. And finally, number 4, Adolis Garcia against number 5, Randy Arozarena. The home run derby seeds were determined by each player's season home run total through July 4th. For contestants with the same number of home runs, the tiebreaker was the most homers hit since June 15th, which gives Robert the number 1 seed over Alonso. Number 1 seed Luis Robert Jr., 25 home runs when seeds were set. Then Adley Rutschman, number 8 seed, 11 home runs. Pete Alonso with 25 home runs. We all know Julio Rodriguez. 13 home runs. Number 3 seed in Mookie Betts, 23 home runs. Vladimir Guerrero Jr., 13 home runs. Number 6, as mentioned. Adolis Garcia of the Rangers, 21 home runs. And Randy Arozarena, 16. After umpire check, Ellie lets his bat do the talking, which Ellie De La Cruz crushes a 455-foot homer, 2 doubles in the win over the Nationals. The Mets hope Alvarez late-game theatrics helped turn the tide. Murphy, 6th member of the Braves, 15-plus homer club. Catcher logs 4 hits, finished triple shy of the cycle as Lamb moves to 7-0 in rubber games. The Marlins put ball in play and walk-off wildness ensues. Wendell shot chopper to Hicks leads to throwing error that scores 2 in the 9th. Kowser, Westburg combined the power O's past the Yankees. Call days apart, number 2, number 3 prospects to shine in the first game together in majors. Got Luis Arraez goes 1 for 5 to see where the foreign pursuit stands. Right now, he sits at 384. Hader in 3rd straight outing locked down Padres' first 3-game sweep. All-Star Sluggers highlight hitting power rankings. We'll look at that. with Shohei Ohtani of the Angels, along with second overall in this one, Ronald Acuna Jr. of the Braves. Last one went third. Now went one from the power rankings. Luis Suarez from the Marlins dropped down one. Originally from 2, now down to 3. Just dropped down a spot. Matt Olson of the Braves was not ranked, but went 4th, though. Corbin Carroll of the Diamondbacks now dropped down to 5th, down 1 spot from the previous power rankings of the hitter. Then Corey Seager went up 1 originally from 7 of the Texas Rangers. Excuse me. Mookie Betts of the Los Angeles Dodgers was not ranked, but in the 7th spot. Luis Robert Jr. of the White Sox was not ranked, but now in the top 8. Juan Soto went up 1, originally from 10, now in the 9th. Freddie Freeman now dropped 4 spots, originally from 6, now down to the top 10. Look at the receiving votes. Yandy Diaz of the Rays, Jose Ramirez of the Guardians, Ellie De La Cruz from the Reds, Marcus Semien of the Rangers, Fernando Tatis Jr. of the Padres, Wander Franco of the Rays, Bo Bichette of the Blue Jays, and Randy Arozarena. Voters are David Alder, Brett Blue Eyes, Paul Casella, Doug Gospel, Thomas Harrigan, Sarah Lang, Travis Miller, Ricardo Montes de Oca, Brian Murphy, Sweeney Murtu, Manny Randhawa, Efrain Ruiz, Shanti Sipe Chipuru, and we also have Andrew Simon and David Venn. And we'll go over the scores from yesterday and the games that will be happening on today. And consider this is basically in Eastern Standard Time. We have the Astros beating the Rockies 6-4. The Athletics beating the Tigers 12-3. The Phillies beating the Rays 8-4. Marlins beating the Cardinals 10-9. The Reds beating the Nationals 9-2. The Orioles beating the Yankees 6-3. And I do want to say this there. And I know somebody's going to get me for that, but hey. I'm going to love this. But while I'm searching, I'll continue on. Hello there, Remote Tripod 562. How's it going? And a great morning to you. Hopefully you're doing well on this Thursday morning. We have the Boston Red Sox beating the Rangers 4-2. We have the Atlanta Braves beating the Guardians 8-1. We have the Twins beating the Royals 5-0. We have the Cubs beating the Brewers 4-3. The Padres beating the Angels 5-3. The San Francisco Giants beating the Mariners, snapped the 4-game win streak, 2-0. Giants winning that. And Jason Canya's New York Mets beating the Diamondbacks 2-1. And we have the Dodgers beating the Pirates 6-4. Doing great there. And with that, the White Sox, Blue Jays and White Sox actually postponed. They'll make that up today. And speaking of today, let's go over the games that will be happening right now. Actually, well, later on. We'll have the Reds going up against the Nationals at 1:05 p.m. We have the Athletics and the Tigers go at it at 1:10 p.m. At 2:10 p.m., we'll have the Cubs and Brewers. At 5:10, we will have a doubleheader, actually, game 1 and 2. First game is at 5:10, the Blue Jays and White Sox. And then after that, same, don't know what time will be, probably after. At 6:40 p.m., we'll have the Phillies and Rays. We got the Cardinals and Marlins at 6:40 p.m. At 7:05, we have the Orioles and Yankees. We also got the Royals against the Guardians. We have the Rangers and Red Sox at 7:10, same time. The Mariners and the Astros go at it at 8:10 p.m.
Yankees lose.
Yes, I had to do that. I mean, if it doesn't hear that, but as David Ortiz was mocking the Yankees with the Yankees lose. But yeah, we have the Mets and Diamondbacks at 9:40 p.m. And then we'll wrap up with the Pirates and the Dodgers at 10:10 p.m. So basically, that will be the games that will be happening today for MLB. And if we do have a little bit of time, actually, we'll go ahead and let's do this. So let's go ahead and take this commercial break. And when we come back, we will be doing the What Day Is Today. Then following that, we will have the do's and don'ts for state and local government on housing. And we will do that right after this.
The name Progresso means progress in Italian. But we don't put too much progress in our soup. Where we come from, you don't fool around with a classic soup recipe, which is why our minestrone is still a classic. We still think chicken noodle soup should be more chicken than noodle. That may not be progress, but it's delicious. It's not that Progresso is against progress. It's just that too much progress would spoil the Progresso.
Every 2 seconds, somebody bangs up a car. Making him look like new again keeps 185,000 auto body specialists on the job. At Apex Tech, we have a training program to get you ready for this kind of work in 6 months. The latest unibody frame straightening equipment. We show you how to operate it. Auto glass, welding. You learn by working alongside a professional. Precision grinding and finishing. Finally, painting and pinstriping. Not many jobs give you the satisfaction of seeing your finished product. Now tell me, is there any part of this you think you couldn't learn? Give us a call now, and we'll pick out a time, day or evening, for you to come in to our shops in person, talk about job placement and what kind of financial help from the government you may be entitled to towards your training, and look over the professional tools you get to keep when you finish your training. 924-7373. Give us a call. Our switchboard is open now.
Make your home the showplace of your neighborhood. At last, a beautiful house that's really maintenance-free. Garden State Brick Face is 3 layers of tough, steel-reinforced cement that will seal and insulate your home. Brick face, stucco, or stone face. Our skilled craftsmen will create a beautiful, customized, maintenance-free exterior on your home. Call now for a free estimate.
For a free estimate, call 1-800-228-6600. Call now or look us up in the yellow pages under Brick.
It happens every day in the tri-state area, rain or shine. Our people get ready and open the doors. We're your neighbors, family, friends. Our kids go to school with your kids. We're not a national chain store. We're your hometown store. And it matters to us how you're treated because we want you to come back time after time and year after year. PC Richard & Son, family owned and operated for 104 years and here for you always.
Beat the heat! Beat the heat with a fan or air conditioner from Crazy Eddie. Get the guaranteed lowest sale prices anywhere on electric fans and air conditioners. It's going to be a long, hot summer, and the prices of electric fans and air conditioners are going to go up, up, up with the temperature. So get an electric fan or air conditioner on sale from Crazy Eddie now. Shop around, get the lowest sale prices you can find, then go to Crazy Eddie and he'll beat them. So be cool and beat the heat. See Crazy Eddie now. His prices are insane.
So then I said, Mr. Prime Minister, I'm flattered that you love chocolate, but I'm here strictly in a professional. What's wrong with him?
He thinks you're naked.
My shell is brown. It just looks like my milk chocolate is showing. Only a fool would think I'd actually show up naked.
So it's that kind of party. Hit it!
I'm sexy and I know it.
Aye.
Girl, look at that body. Girl, look at that body. Girl, look at that body.
I work out. Wiggle, 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 yeah.
Hey, Herbert Fisher. Have you met Herb Grant?
Herb Grant, Tacoma.
Herb's in the plumbing business.
Yeah, I'm all backed up.
Herb, you know these bums? Herb Riddick, Herb Kaplan.
Hi.
So, the wife and kids are good?
Herb Jr.'s almost 12.
Whoa, next thing you know, there'll be a Herbert Jr. Jr.
If it's out there, it's in here. The 9X Yellow Pages. Why would anyone need another?
And we welcome you back for DMS 3000 News Live, episode number 17. And once again, I'm Brandon Martin, as we'll go ahead and take a look for what day is today. We have a total of 28 that I counted before we went on the air. We have International Kissing Day. From French, kissing and a formal kiss on the cheek celebrate this simple but powerful gesture. National Fried Chicken Day. Yummy, I have to say. Fried chicken's a greasy, deliciously indulgent comfort food enjoyed all over the world. The anniversary of the coronation of King Midas. A king was the Lord's anointed, hallowed at his coronation with holy oil. Capital City Day. Join Kazakhs across the globe as they celebrate their rich culture and identity. Comoros National Day. After a tumultuous past, the people of Comoros have earned their independence. Eid al-Gadr. Eid al-Gadr is a day of celebration and remembrance of Shia Muslims all over the world. Fast of Shiva Asar B'Tammuz. Join Jewish people across the globe as they mark a day of tragedies in their history. Fast of Tammuz. Take full advantage of this fast day as it's also a day to repent. Jan Hus Day in Czech Republic. Join us as we explore and delve into the life and death of Jan Hus. Kupala night. Let us explore the history behind this old Slavic celebration and its wonderful traditions together. Malawi Independence Day. Let's retrace the steps in Malawi's history that led to their eventual autonomy. MIP Hip Day in Mizoram. Explore the history of one of India's oldest women's welfare organization on Hip Day. National Air Traffic Control Day. It's the anniversary of the day the air traffic control system was established in the U.S. National Daniel Day. Let's celebrate all the Daniels in the world on this National Daniel Day. National Hand Roll Day. Nothing improves your mood more than a delicious homemade hand roll this National Hand Roll Day. Take your webmaster to lunch day. Treat your webmaster to lunch or in some other way to show your appreciation. Thirsty Thursday. Anyone who loves to live it up will surely love Thirsty Thursday. If it's hot outside, basically with the warm weather's still happening, yeah, drink plenty of water there, folks. Umbrella Cover Day. These little sleeves, slip covers, cases, sheaths, whatever they may be, deserve our recognition. Excuse me. Virtually Hug a Virtual Assistant Day. Virtual assistants are making the most of the digital frontier to advance their careers. World Zoonosis Day. Zoonotic diseases can have serious effects on both humans and animals alike. 50 Cent's birthday. From gangster to business mogul, 50 Cent has overcome every challenge thrown his way. Frida Kahlo's birthday. The fierce, confident, and robust artist took on the world with her paintings. George W. Bush's birthday. From oil to baseball, from art to politics, George W. Bush has done it all. Kevin Hart's birthday. No subject is too serious for lovable comedian and actor Kevin Hart. Ludwig Agren's birthday. From novice streamer to breaking streaming records, this Twitch star is on the rise. And we're going to be talking about this man on this 6 o'clock hour, which is about 32 minutes away. Sylvester Stallone. We'll talk more about that. But we'll go ahead and move to Tia Mowry's birthday. Although she is a twin actress and a mother, Tia Mowry is one of a kind. And then we'll wrap up with Zion Williamson's birthday. This basketball player is super talented and also a gorgeous heartthrob. Celebrate him today. And that's basically it for what day is today for July the 6th, 2023. As we are at 5:29 right now, less than a minute before 5:30. Let's go ahead and get started now with this. The do's and don'ts for state and local government on housing. It's something that can be important in this for housing wise. So it's going to be really interesting, and please pay attention to this as well. We all know is this. What is the problem with housing and how do we solve it? Fortunately, the answer is simple. Lack of supply in the face of rising demand. Noted economist Milton Friedman often said that inflation is always and everywhere the result of too much money. That is, as employers hire more people, not hired, but hire more people. and population grows, demands for housing grows with it. If housing is scarce, then its price begins to rise. Excuse me. And this means people with less money can't compete and get priced out of the market. The immutable law of supply and demand applies to housing just as it does to any other consumer product. The answer to housing price increases is either to reduce jobs and population growth or to increase production. The answer is definitely not more money. Yet, this is at the core of almost every housing proposal offered at the federal, state, and local levels. The argument is we need more affordable housing, when it should be we don't need more affordable subsidized housing. We need more housing so that it is affordable. The way to accomplish this from a state and local policy level falls into two categories. Of course, things not to do and things to do. This post, they're going to focus on two examples from each category: mandatory inclusionary zoning, things to do, and cash for rent, things to do, with the things not to do, and for cash and cash for rent, things to do. Basically, the don't do is inclusionary zoning. That taxing something will discourage its production and use is a common sense notion. A mandate for housing providers to include rent restricted units and rental housing projects or pay a fee in lieu is essentially a tax on new housing production, thus discouraging that production. Worse, when rents can't support the fees, the residents ultimately pay the fees through higher rents, resulting in local renters adding local dollars to federally funded projects. Cities like Cincinnati have been flirting with inclusionary zoning as it gains popularity. And cities that do have the measure in place, like Seattle and San Diego, are still in the middle of what they themselves describe as a housing crisis. What's behind this movement to tax new housing to pay for subsidized housing? It's basic human confusion. He recently heard a local city council member praise what she called luxury housing because she understood that more new housing takes the price pressures off existing housing. Wow, I thought she gets supply and demand. Even though that new apartment building has higher rents than an older building around the corner, people with more dollars to spend will go to the new building, and existing units won't see rises in rent when new vacancies open. But less than an hour later, after she and her colleagues voted for significant supply-side land use reforms, she said, "Make no mistake, these measures aren't about affordable housing. There is no affordable housing here." I'm paraphrasing. What she meant that in her mind, the words affordable housing means either money for subsidized housing or price controls. It's a psychological problem that is shared by almost all human beings, left or right, north or south. The market alone can't solve the problem of high housing problems. We need to add more money. We already saw the quote from Milton Friedman. The solution: state governments can't preempt local cities from imposing inclusionary requirements. We all know Tennessee has done this. When people think more money is the answer, the allure of a tax on every square foot of new housing is intense. Politicians can raise the cost and barriers of new housing, which mean higher prices because almost all their constituents think more affordable housing means more money. It satisfies the urge to do something by apparently penalizing developers and skimming off some of their profits to pay for cheaper housing. Of course, this doesn't work. Housing prices can't continue to rise to absorb fees and get rid of that ad. And of course, that'll be it for there. So got cut off, but it's okay. It's no biggie. But however, the do cash for rent make vouchers like cash. Most households that qualify for a Section 8 voucher are living and paying rent somewhere. They're just paying too much because their current unit does not qualify for a voucher. Current federal and state rules require that those households hunt for a unit that qualifies. This should end. Instead, when a household qualifies for a voucher, they should be able to apply it to pay the rent where they currently live. They suggested that the Hamilton County Housing Authority and the City of Cincinnati use their housing trust fund to pilot this kind of program. Vouchers should be treated more like cash and have fewer restrictions for both housing providers and residents. HUD's Moving to Work program allows such flexibility. The pushback to this is most often something like, but we can't have people living in housing that isn't inspected. That's substandard housing. What that really means is we should require that people live in substandard housing paying more than 30% of their income on it while they wait to find a better unit. People working at housing authorities are good people and truly want the best for residents. However, the excuses for not trying straight cash payments for rent without strings just don't hold up. The solution? Use state and local funds to match vouchers for a pilot program. We need local jurisdictions to try this approach and rigorously evaluate it side by side with conventional voucher use. I'm pretty confident that at the end of the evaluation period, more people with cash paying their rent in their current unit will be better off than those forced to go out and hunt for a unit that matches requirements. People usually don't want to move. They just need help paying the rent. And if they do decide to move, empowering them with cash means they can move closer to work, family, or both. Overall, when it comes to housing, state and local governments can best address housing issues using the eraser end of their pencils rather than the lead side. Erasing complicated rules and regulations to allow more production means housing developers and providers competing with each other for customers rather than people looking for housing competing with each other for scarce rental housing or for purchase. Most of all, reform means challenging widely held notions about how housing economics work and relying instead on the basics. We don't need more affordable housing. We need more housing so that it is affordable. And that will do it for the do's and don'ts for state and local governments on housing. And we know we have time for that. We'll go ahead and look at the weather for today and see what we have in store. Get a little standby for that. Look at the weather today across the country. And no, this is not Al Roker's usual catchphrase. If that's what's going around the country, this was happening in your neck of the woods or something. Yeah, it's somewhere in that, but you know what I'm trying to say. But yeah, credit to Al Roker, by the way. So basically, in the East Coast, you're looking at upper 80s, low to upper 90s. Caribou at 90. Boston, 89. Chance of showers. New York at 88. Buffalo, 88 as well. Washington at D.C., to be more specific, at 89. Chance of showers. Norfolk at 86. Same thing for showers. 91 in Charlotte. Atlanta at 90. Jacksonville, 96. Same scenario for showers. Tampa, 95. And Miami at 89. For the Midwest, you're looking at upper 60s, low 80s, upper 80s, low 90s. For Salt, St. Marie at 67 degrees. 80 degrees in Detroit with some showers. 87 in Cincinnati. Memphis at 91, showers as well. Same thing with New Orleans at 91. Chicago, 74. And we look at the central side of things. We have low 70s, low 80s, upper 70s, mid to upper 90s, low upper 80s. We look at International Falls at 71, Minneapolis 77. We look going down with low 80s of Minot of 82, Rapid City 76, Kansas City at 82, Oklahoma City 79, some showers, 94 in Dallas, Lubbock at 94, El Paso at 106, woo! San Antonio 88, 87 in Houston, some showers. Then in Brownsville at 87. We look at the other side. We have upper 70s. We also got low 80s, up low 90s, low 100s, upper 100s. As we look at Cut Bank at 79, Billings at 78. We also have Salt Lake City at 92, Denver 80, with some showers. Albuquerque at 101. And then basically in the West Coast, upper 80s, upper 90s, low 60s and upper 70s. Seattle at 87. Medford at 96. Boise 92. Reno 87. San Francisco 63. Los Angeles 78. Las Vegas 107. You know, Albuquerque, I mentioned that at 101. And Phoenix, not surprising, 113. For the states that are at the hundreds of Las Vegas, Albuquerque, El Paso, and Phoenix, stay cool inside and stay out of the hot weather. And of course, use sunscreen if you do go outside. For suggestion, don't go outside. Just stay cool. And that will be for the weather. As right now, it is at 5:46 now. And we'll go ahead and take another commercial break. As when we come back, we will be going over the happy 77th birthday to Sylvester Stallone. That I'm looking forward to with that. And with that being said, we'll go ahead and take another break, and we'll do that right after this. Don't go anywhere.
The Buzzer Academy of Hosting presents Tossing to Commercial.
We'll continue playing fast, but in just a moment, right after these messages.
We've got these messages for you. So come on back. We'll be back.
We'll be back. We'll pause with these words.
Don't you dare go away.
Don't go away. Don't go away.
You say you want more? We'll be right back with more.
For more lessons, keep it right here on Buzzer.
Check your cable listing for Buzzer or watch WBNX 55.2.
The government says we can make our Hebrew National Franks from frozen beef. We don't. They say we can add meat byproducts. We don't. They say we can add meat fillers. We can't. We're kosher and have to answer to an even higher authority. New Hebrew National Light Franks. 100% fresh kosher beef, 100% Hebrew National delicious. With less fat, sodium, and calories. Original or new light. We answer to a higher authority.
Melissa, what time is it? I don't know.
You mean to tell me you got 4 watches on that arm and not one of them tells the time?
It's a look, Dad.
A look?
A look.
Does that explain the war paint around the eyes?
It's the latest eyeliner, Dad.
So, Michael, when did you get electrocuted?
That's Moose, Jerry. My brother, the fashion victim.
Me? Come on, you use so much hairspray they could hold you solely responsible for the hole in the ozone layer.
Why do I get the feeling I'm putting the bill for you two to look like a couple of yo-yos?
Because you are, dear. Where's the dog? Getting his legs waxed.
Pass the iced tea.
4C, the official iced tea of the Davis family.
Could switching to Geico really save you 15% or more on car insurance? Does a former drill sergeant make a terrible therapist?
And that's why yellow makes me sad, I think.
That's interesting. You know what makes me sad?
You do! Maybe we should chug on over to Mamby-Pamby land, where maybe we can find some self-confidence for you, you jackwagon!
Tissue? Cry, baby.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Go meat! Go meat! I said a beef hot links!
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 I said a brat beef kielbasa hot smoked sausage cheddar wurst!
I said a brat beef kielbasa hot smoked sausage cheddar wurst!
When I say Hillshire, you say farm! Hillshire!
Farm! Go meat!
This is just a flat old tater chip. It's just flat. It's just tater. It's just an old chip, but not this. Is a new Cajun spice ruffle potato chip. Look at them ridges full of cayenne pepper, onion, garlic, paprika. Oh, this is Cajun spice. Ain't nothing flat about it.
Try new Cajun Spice Ruffles brand potato chips with a feisty, spicy bite in every crunch. It's the new taste that won't leave you flat.
Oh, boy, they want them without guarantee.
You've got it made.
Faster oven, faster yet in the microwave.
In just 10 minutes, you've got it made.
There's only one pie with this much real fruit and a crust this tender and flaky in its own microwave pan.
In minutes, it's pie. In just 10 minutes, you've got it made. Yeah.
10 minutes before 6 o'clock, as we welcome you back to DMS 3000 News Live for July 6, 2023. And with that, again, I'm Brennan Martin. And now we are going to go over a happy special 77th birthday to Sylvester Stallone. Sylvester Gardenzio Stallone is an American actor and filmmaker. After his beginnings as a struggling actor for a number of years upon arriving to New York City in 1969, and later Hollywood in 1974. He won his first critical acclaim as an actor for his co-starring role as Stanley Rosiello on The Lords of Flatbush. Stallone subsequently found gradual work as an extra or side character in films with a sizable budget until he achieved his greatest critical and commercial success as an actor and screenwriter, starring in 1976 with his role as boxer Rocky Balboa in the first film of the successful Rocky series, for which he also wrote the screenplays. In the films, Rocky is portrayed as an underdog boxer who fights numerous brutal opponents and wins the World Heavyweight Championship twice. In 1977, Stallone was the third actor in cinema to be nominated for 2 Academy Awards for Best Original Screenplay and Best Actor. Stallone's film Rocky was inducted into the National Film Registry and had its props placed in the Smithsonian Museum. Stallone's use of the front entrance into the Philadelphia Museum of Art in the Rocky series led the area to be nicknamed the Rocky Steps. Philadelphia has a statue of the Rocky character placed permanently near the museum, and he was voted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame. Up until 1982, Stallone's films were not big box office successes unless they were Rocky sequels, and none received the critical acclaim achieved with the first Rocky. This changed with the successful action film First Blood, in which he portrayed the PTSD-plagued soldier John Rambo. Originally an adaptation of the eponymous novel by David Morrell, First Blood's script was significantly altered by Stallone during the film's production. Stallone would play the role in the total of 5 Rambo films from the mid-1980s through the late 1990s. Stallone would go on to become one of the Hollywood's highest-paid actors of that era by appearing in a slew of commercially successful action films, which were, however, generally panned by critics. These include Cobra, Tango and Cash, Cliffhanger, the better-received Demolition Man, and The Specialist. Stallone saw a decline in popularity in the early 2000s, but rebounded back to prominence in 2006 with a 6th installment in the Rocky series and 2008 with a 4th in the Rambo series. In the 2010s, Stallone launched the Expendables film series, in which he played the lead as the mercenary Barney Ross. In 2013, he starred in a successful Escape Plan and acted in its sequels. In 2015, Stallone returned to the Rocky series with Creed, that served as spin-off films focusing on Adonis Donnie Creed, played by Michael B. Jordan, the son of the ill-fated boxer Apollo Creed, to whom the long-retired Rocky is a mentor. Reprising the role brought Stallone praise and his first Golden Globe Award for the first Creed, as well as the 3rd Oscar nomination, having been first nominated for the same role 40 years prior. Since 2022, he has starred in the television series Tulsa King for Paramount Plus. Stallone is the only actor in the history of American cinema to have starred in a box office #1 film across 6 consecutive decades. Sylvester Stallone was born in Hell's Kitchen, neighborhood in Manhattan, New York City. The elder son of Francesco Frank Stallone Sr., a hairdresser and beautician, and Jacqueline Jackie Stallone, an astrologer, dancer, and promoter of women's wrestling. His Italian father was born in Gioia del Colle, Apulia, Italy, and moved to the U.S. in the 1930s. While his American mother is of French and Ashkenazi Jewish descent, his younger brother is actor and musician Frank Stallone. Many biographies of Stallone indicate that his birth name is Michael Sylvester Gardenzio Stallone. Stallone's mother explained in an interview that she originally named him Tyrone because she admired the actor Tyrone Power. But Stallone's father changed it to Sylvester. His nickname as a child was Binky. But after schoolmates began calling him Stinky, Stallone chose to go by nickname of Mike/Michael. His middle name, Gardenzio, is an alteration of an Italian given name, Gaudenzio. Stallone usually shortened to it Enzio. Excuse me. Complications during labor forced his mother's obstetricians to use 2 pairs of forceps during his birth, accidentally severing a nerve in the process. This caused paralysis of the lower left side of Stallone's face, including parts of his hip, tongue, and chin, which give him his signature snarling look and slurred speech. As a result, he was bullied as a child and coped with bodybuilding and acting. Stallone spent part of his infancy in foster and boarding care, rejoining and moving back with them to Maryland when he was 5. Stallone initially stayed with his father following his parents' divorce in 1957, but at age 15, he joined his remarried mother in Philadelphia. He was baptized Catholic. His father moved the family to Washington, D.C. in the early 1950s to open a beauty school. In 1954, his mother opened a women's gym called Barbella's. Stallone attended Notre Dame Academy and Abraham Lincoln High School in Philadelphia and Charlotte Hall Military Academy in Charlotte Hall, Maryland, prior to attending Miami-Dade College. He spent 2 years from September 1965 to June 1967 at the American College of Switzerland. He returned to the United States to study as a drama major at the University of Miami from 1967 to 1969. After Stallone's request that his acting and life experiences be accepted in exchange for his remaining needed college credits to graduate, he was granted a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree by the University of Miami in 1998. Until 1969, he appeared on the stage under the name Mike Stallone. In 1970, he started using the stage name Sylvester E. Stallone while attending the University of Miami. Stallone had a role in the drama That Nice Boy, aka The Square Root, filmed in 1968. Stallone had his first starring role in a softcore pornography feature film, The Party at Kitty and Studs, 1970. He was paid $200 for 2 days' work. Stallone later explained that he had done the film out of desperation after being evicted from his apartment and finding himself homeless for several days. He has also said that he slept 3 weeks in the Port Authority bus terminal in New York City prior to seeing a casting notice for the film. In the actor's words, it was either do that movie or rob someone because I was at the very end of my rope. The film was released several years later as Italian Stallion. In order to cash in on Stallone's newfound name, the new title was taken from Stallone's nickname since Rocky. Stallone also starred in the erotic off-Broadway stage play Score, which ran for 23 performances at the Martinique Theater from October 28th to November 15th, 1971, and was later made into the 1974 film Score by Radley Metzger. After moving to New York City, Stallone shared an apartment with his girlfriend, Sasha Zak, an aspiring actress who supported them by working as a waitress. Stallone took odd jobs around this time, including being a cleaner at a zoo and a theater usher. He was fired from the latter for scalping tickets. He furthered his writing skills by frequenting a local library and became interested in the works of Edgar Allan Poe. In 1972, Stallone was on the verge of giving up on having an acting career in what he later described as a low point. He tried and failed to get a job as an extra in The Godfather. Instead, he was relegated to a background role in another Hollywood hit, What's Up, Doc?, starring Barbra Streisand. Stallone is hardly visible in his two appearances. Excuse me. Stallone happened to be acting in a play that a friend invited him to partake in, and an agent in attendance thought that Stallone fit the role of Stanley, a main character of The Lords of Flatbush, which had a start-stop schedule from 1972 to 1974 over budget issues. Stallone, around mid-1973, achieved his first proper starring role in the independent film No Place to Hide, playing a man who is associated with a New York-based urban terrorist movement with a jewelry seller at his love interest. The film was recut and retitled Rebel years later. The second version featuring Stallone as its star. In 1990, this film was re-edited with outtakes from the original film and newly shot matching footage, then redubbed in the style of Woody Allen's What's Up, Tiger Lily, into a parody of itself titled A Man Called Rainbow, without the W. Stallone's other first few film roles were minor and included brief uncredited appearances in MASH as a soldier sitting at a table, Pigeons as a party guest, Woody Allen's Bananas as a subway thug, in the psychological thriller Clue as an extra dancing in a club, and in the Jack Lemmon film The Prisoner of Second Avenue as a youth. In the latter film, Jack Lemmon's character chases, tackles, and mugs Stallone, thinking that Stallone's character is a pickpocket. He had his second starring role in 1974, The Lords of Flatbush. In 1975, he played supporting roles in Farewell, My Lovely Capone, and Death Race 2000. He made guest appearances on the TV series Police Story and Kojak. He is also supposedly in Mandingo. It is often said that his scene was deleted. Stallone gained worldwide fame with his starring role in the smash hit Rocky, a sports drama about a struggling boxer, Rocky Balboa, taking on heavyweight champion Apollo Creed. On March 24th, 1975, Stallone saw the Muhammad Ali vs. Chuck Wepner fight. That night, Stallone went home, and after 3 days, he had completed the first draft of Rocky. Stallone subsequently denied the Wepner provided any inspiration for the script. However, Wepner filed a lawsuit which was eventually settled with Stallone for an undisclosed amount. Our possible inspirations for the film may have included Rocky Graziano's autobiography, Somebody Up There Likes Me, and the film of the same name. Stallone attempted to sell the script to multiple studios with the intention of playing the lead role himself. Erwin Winkler and Robert Chartoff became interested and offered Stallone $350,000 for the rights. But they had their own casting ideas for the lead role, including Robert Redford and Burt Reynolds. Stallone refused to sell unless he played the lead character, and eventually, after a substantial budget cut to compromise, it was agreed he could be the star. Upon its release, critic Roger Ebert stated that Stallone could become the next Marlon Brando. In 1977, at the 49th Academy Awards, Rocky was nominated for 10 Oscars, including Best Actor and Best Original Screenplay nominations for Stallone. The film went on to win the Academy Awards for Best Picture, Best Directing, and Best Film Editing. Excuse me. Stallone made his directorial debut and starred in the 1978 film Paradise Alley, a family drama in which he played one of three brothers who get involved in professional wrestling. That same year, he starred in Norman Jewison's Fist, a social drama in which he plays a warehouse worker, very loosely modeled on James Hoffa, who becomes involved in labor union leadership. In 1979, he wrote, starred, and directed, placing John G. Avildsen in Rocky II. The sequel became a major success, grossing U.S. $200 million. In 1981, he starred alongside Michael Caine and soccer star Pele in Escape to Victory, a sports drama in which he plays a prisoner of war involved in a Nazi propaganda soccer game. That same year, he starred in the thriller Nighthawks, in which he plays a New York City cop who plays a cat-and-mouse game with a foreign terrorist played by Rutger Hauer. In 1982, Stallone starred as Vietnam veteran John Rambo, a former Green Beret, in the action film First Blood, which was both a critical and box office success. Critics praised Stallone's performance, saying he made Rambo seem human, as opposed to the way he is portrayed in the book of the same name. It launched the Rambo franchise. That year, Rocky III was released, in which Stallone wrote, directed, and starred. The third sequel became a box office success. In preparation for these roles, Stallone embarked upon a vigorous training regimen, which often meant 6 days a week in the gym and further sit-ups in the evenings. Stallone claims to have reduced his body fat percentage to his all-time low of 2.8% for Rocky III. In 1983, he directed Staying Alive, the sequel to Saturday Night Fever, starring John Travolta. This was the only film Stallone directed that he did not star in. Staying Alive was universally panned by film critics. Despite being a critical failure, Staying Alive was a commercial success. The film opened with the biggest weekend for a musical film ever, with a gross of $12,146,143 from 1,660 screens. Overall, the film grossed nearly $65 million in the U.S. box office against its $22 million budget. Worldwide, it grossed $127 million, though the U.S. box office intake was significantly less than the $139.5 million earned by Saturday Night Fever. The film nonetheless ranked in the top 10 most financially successful films of 1983. During the 1980s, Stallone was considered one of the biggest action film stars in the world, along with Arnold Schwarzenegger. The Schwarzenegger-Stallone rivalry continued for years. They attacked each other in the press and tried to surpass the other with more on-screen killings and larger weapons. Stallone occasionally attempted a belt unsuccessfully, roles in different genres. In 1984, he co-wrote and starred alongside Dolly Parton in the comedy film Rhinestone, where he played a wannabe country music singer. For the Rhinestone soundtrack, he performed a song. Stallone turned down the lead male role in Romancing the Stone in order to make Rhinestone instead, a decision he later regretted. In 1985, Stallone continued his success with the Rocky and Rambo franchises with Rocky IV and Rambo First Blood Part 2. Stallone has portrayed these two characters in the total of 13 films. Stallone met former Mr. Olympia Franco Columbu to develop his character's appearance for the film's Rocky IV, just as if he were preparing for the Mr. Olympia competition. That meant two workouts a day, 6 days a week. Both films were major financial successes. It was around 1985 that Stallone was signed to a remake of the 1939 James Cagney classic, Angels with Dirty Faces. The film would form part of his multi-picture deal with Cannon Films and was to co-star Christopher Reeve and be directed by Menahem Golan. The remaking of such a beloved classic was met with disapproval by Variety and horror by top critic Roger Ebert. Cannon opted to make the action film Cobra, which was released in 1986 and became a box office success. It led to the setting up of his production company, White Eagle Enterprises. In 1987, he starred in the film family drama Over the Top as a struggling trucker who tries to make amends with an estranged son and enters an arm wrestling competition. This was poorly received by critics and was a box office failure. He starred alongside Kurt Russell in a buddy cop action film, Tango and Cash, which did solid business domestically and overseas, grossing $57 million in foreign markets and over $120 million worldwide. Stallone became a boxing promoter in the 1980s. His boxing promoting company, Tiger Eye Productions, signed world champion boxers Sean O'Grady and Aaron Pryor. Stallone began in the 1990s, starting in the fifth installment of the Rocky franchise, Rocky V. This film brought back the first film's director, John G. Avildsen, and was intended to be the final installment of this in the series. It was considered a box office disappointment and received negative reviews. Stallone next appeared in John Landis' period comedy Oscar, which was both a critical and box office failure. In 1992, he appeared in Roger Spottiswood's action comedy Stop or My Mom Will Shoot, which was also both a critical and a box office disaster. Stallone signed onto the film based on rumors on that Schwarzenegger was interested in the lead. Schwarzenegger said that knowing the script's quality was poor, he publicly faked interest in starring for producers to lure Stallone. In 1993, he made a comeback with Rennie Harlan action film Cliffhanger, which was a success in the U.S., grossing $84 million and worldwide grossing $131 million. Later that year, he starred in the futuristic action film Demolition Man, directed by Marco Brambilla, co-starring Wesley Snipes and Sandra Bullock. On Rotten Tomatoes, the film has an approval rating of 60% based on 42 reviews, with an average rating of 5.43 out of 10. The site's consensus reads, a better than average sci-fi shoot 'em up with a satirical undercurrent. Demolition Man is bolstered by strong performances by Stallone, Snipes, and Bullock. The film debuted at number 1 at the box office. Demolition Man grossed $58,055,768 by the end of its box office run in North America, and $159,055,768 worldwide. His string of hits continued with 1994's The Specialist, co-starring Sharon Stone and directed by Luis Llosa, which opened in the U.S. on October 7th. While the critical reception was overwhelmingly negative, the film was a commercial success. In its opening weekend, it made $14,317,765, and it ended up making its budget with $57,362,582 at the domestic box office, while making another $113 million overseas, giving its worldwide gross of $170,362,582. In 1995, he played the title character from the British comic book 2000 AD in the science fiction action film Judge Dredd. His overseas box office appeal saved the domestic box office disappointment of Judge Dredd, which cost almost $100 million and barely made its budget back, with a worldwide tally of $113 million. Despite the film's poor box office performance, Stallone signed a 3-picture deal with Universal Pictures for $60 million, making him the second star after Jim Carrey to receive $20 million per film. The deal expired in February 2000 without him making any films. However, so he received no payment. That year, he also appeared in the thriller Assassins with Julianne Moore and Antonio Banderas. That same year, Stallone, along with an all-star cast of celebrities, appeared in the Trey Parker and Matt Stone short comedy film Your Studio and You, commissioned by the Seagram Company for a party celebrating their acquisition of Universal Studios and the MCA Corporation. Stallone speaks in his Rocky Balboa voice with subtitles translating what he is saying. At one point, Stallone starts yelling about how can they use his Balboa character that he left it in the past. The narrator calms him with a wine cooler and calling him Brainiac. In response, Stallone says, "Thank you very much." And he then looks at the wine cooler and exclaims, "Stupid cheap studio." Oh, man. In 1996, he starred in the disaster film Daylight as a disgraced former emergency services chief who attempts to rescue survivors of an underground tunnel explosion. Daylight also underperformed at the domestic box office, grossing $33 million, but did better overseas and grossed a total of $158 million worldwide. In 1997, Stallone was cast against type as an overweight sheriff in the crime drama Copland, in which he starred alongside Robert De Niro and Ray Liotta. The film was critically well received and was a modest success at the box office, earning $63 million on a $15 million budget. And Stallone's performance earned him the Stockholm International Film Festival Best Actor Award. In 1998, he did voiceover work for the computer animated film Ants, which was a big hit domestically. And I would love to go all over that, but that will do for the happy 77th birthday to Sylvester Stallone. Sylvester, happy birthday to you. You're still alive and kicking, and only time will tell from here. So right now it is 6:21, 9 minutes before 6:30. And we'll go ahead and take one more commercial break. And when we come back, we'll wrap up the show with the 29th anniversary of the movie Forrest Gump. So we'll do that right after this. We'll be right back.
At the river mouth, the bears catch only the tastiest, most tender salmon. Which is exactly what we at John West want. John West endured the worst to bring you the best.
Hello, ladies. Look at your man. Now back to me. Now back at your man. Now back to me. Sadly, he isn't me. But if he stopped using lady-scented body wash and switched to Old Spice, he could smell like he's me. Look down. Back up. Where are you? You're on a boat with the man your man could smell like. What's in your hand? Back at me. I have it. It's an oyster with 2 tickets to that thing you love. Look again. The tickets are now diamond. Anything is possible when your man smells like Old Spice and not a lady. I'm on a horse.
Ship my pants? Right here? Ship my pants, you're kidding. You can ship your pants right here. You hear that? I can ship my pants for free.
Wow, I just may ship my pants.
Yeah, ship your pants. Billy, you can ship your pants too.
I can't wait to ship my pants, Dad.
I just shipped my pants, and it's very convenient.
Very convenient.
I just shipped my drawers.
I just shipped my nightie.
I just shipped my bed.
If you can't find what you're looking for in store, we'll find it at Kmart.com right now and ship it to you for free.
Today we celebrate the first glorious anniversary of the Information Purification Directives. We have created, for the first time in all history, a garden of pure ideology, where each worker may bloom, secure from the pests, obeying contradictory thoughts. Our unification of thoughts is more powerful a weapon than any fleet or army on earth. We are one people. One will, one resolve, one cause. Our enemies shall talk themselves to death, and we will bury them with their own confusion. We shall prevail.
On January 24th, Apple Computer will introduce Macintosh. And you'll see why 1984 won't be like 1984.
Mr. Cow.
Yes?
How many licks does it take to get to the Tootsie Roll center of a Tootsie Pop?
I don't know. I always end up biting. Ask Mr. Fox, for he's much cleverer than I.
Mr. Fox, how many licks does it take to get to the Tootsie Roll center of a Tootsie Pop?
Why don't you ask Mr. Turtle, for he's been around a lot longer than I. Me, I bite.
Mr. Turtle, how many licks does it take to get to the Tootsie Roll center of a Tootsie Pop?
I never made it without biting. Ask Mr. Owl, for he is the wisest of us all.
Mr. Owl, how many licks does it take to get to the Tootsie Roll center of a Tootsie Pop?
A good question. Let's find out. 1, 2, 3.
If there's anything I can't stand, it's a smart owl.
How many licks does it take to get to the Tootsie Roll center of a Tootsie Pop? The world may never know.
Mr. Green? Mr. Green?
Yeah.
You need any help?
Mm-mm.
I just want you to know, I think you're the best ever.
Yeah, sure.
Want my Coke? It's okay, you can have it.
No.
Really, you can have it.
Okay.
A Coke and a smile makes me feel good. Makes me feel nice. Be around. That's the way it should be. I like to see
Hey, kid.
the whole world smiling with me. Coca-Cola as life. Have a Coke and
Thanks, Mean Joe.
smile.
Ow! So you think Santa will like these red and green M&Ms?
I don't know. I never met the guy. He does exist!
They do exist. Santa?
Santa. Once again, it's still Christmas in July. And right now it is 6:26 right now, 4 minutes before 6:30. We welcome you back to DMS 3000 News Live. And once again, I am Brandon Martin, your host for this. And we'll go ahead and wrap up for this episode with the 29th anniversary of the movie Forrest Gump. Forrest Gump is a 1994 American comedy drama film directed by Robert Zemeckis and written by Eric Roth. It is based on a 1986 novel of the same name by Winston Groom and stars Tom Hanks, Robin Wright, Gary Sinise, Michael T. Williamson, and Sally Field. The film follows several decades in the life of the slow-witted and kind-hearted Alabama man named Forrest Gump and his experiences in the 20th century United States. The film differs substantially from the novel. Principal photography took place between August and December 1993. Excuse me. Mainly in Georgia, North and South Carolina. Extensive visual effects were used to incorporate Hanks into archived footage and to develop other scenes. The soundtrack features songs reflecting the different periods seen in the film. Forrest Gump was released in the United States on July 6, which is today, 1994, and received mostly positive reviews with critical acclaim for Zemeckis' direction, performances, visual effects, music, and screenplay. The film was an enormous success at the box office. It became the top-grossing film in America, released that year, and earned over $678.2 million worldwide during its theatrical run, making it the second highest-grossing film of 1994, behind The Lion King. The soundtrack sold over 12 million copies. Forrest Gump won 6 Academy Awards: Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor for Hanks, Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Visual Effects, and Best Film Editing. It received many award nominations, including Golden Globes, British Academy Film Awards, and Screen Actors Guild Awards. Various interpretations have been made of the protagonist and the film's political symbolism. In 2011, the Library of Congress selected the film for preservation in the United States National Film Registry as being culturally, historically, and aesthetically significant. The plot in 1981, a man named Forrest Gump recounts his life story to strangers who happen to sit next to him at a bus stop. As a boy in 1956, Forrest has an IQ of 75 and is fitted with leg braces to correct a curved spine. He lives in Greenbow, Alabama with his mother, who runs a boarding house and encourages him to live beyond his disabilities. Among the temporary tenants is a young Elvis Presley, who plays the guitar for Forrest and incorporates the boys' jerky dance movements into his performances. On his first day of school, Forrest meets a girl named Jenny Curran, and the two become best friends. Jenny is a victim of sexual abuse at the hands of her widowed alcoholic father, and she is later removed from his custody. Bullied because of his leg braces and dim-wittedness, Forrest flees from a group of children, but when his braces break off, he is revealed to be a fast runner. With this talent, he receives a football scholarship at the University of Alabama in 1962, where he is coached by Bear Bryant, becomes a top kick returner, is named to the All-American team, and meets President John F. Kennedy at the White House. In his first year at college, he witnesses Governor George Wallace's stand in the schoolhouse door and returns a dropped book in Vivian Malone Jones. One of the students admitted overstate resistance. He visits Jenny at her college, where the two have an awkward sexual encounter. After graduating from college in 1966, Forrest enlists in the U.S. Army. During basic training, he befriends a fellow soldier named Benjamin Buford Blue, nicknamed Bubba, who becomes a close friend and convinces Forrest to go into the shrimping business with him after their service. While on leave, Forrest goes to Memphis, Tennessee to see Jenny, who was expelled from college for posing in Playboy in her college sweater, and now works as a singer in a strip club. However, he embarrasses her by attacking some patrons who were harassing her, causing the two to part ways. Soon afterwards, Forrest and Bubba are sent to fight in Vietnam, serving with the 9th Infantry Division in the Mekong Delta region under Lieutenant Dan Taylor. After months of routine operations, their platoon is ambushed while on patrol, and several members of the platoon are killed in action, including Bubba. Forrest saves several others, including Lieutenant Dan, who loses both of his lower legs, while Forrest is shot in the buttocks. While recovering from his wound, Forrest develops a talent for ping pong. Taylor is embittered from having his life saved, as he hoped to die in combat like his ancestors and detests being handicapped. Forrest is awarded the Medal of Honor for his heroism by President Lyndon B. Johnson. At an anti-war march on the Pentagon rally, Forrest meets Abby Hoffman, encounters a Black Panther group, and reunites with Jenny, who has become a drug-addicted hippie and anti-war activist. But the two are soon parted again when she leaves for San Francisco with her abusive boyfriend, the president of SDS at Berkeley. Forrest plays ping pong at the Special Services, competing against Chinese teams in ping pong diplomacy, becoming a celebrity, and earns himself an interview alongside John Lennon on the Dick Cavett Show. Appearing to influence Lennon's song Imagine, Forrest spends 1972 New Year's Eve in New York City with Lieutenant Dan, who has become an alcoholic, still bitter about his disability and the government's apathy towards Vietnam War veterans. Forrest does not enjoy the company of Lieutenant Dan's prostitutes because of his devotion to Jenny and rejects their advances, leading Lieutenant Dan to angrily throw them out for insulting Forrest. Forrest's ping pong success eventually leads to a meeting with President Richard Nixon. He is given a room in the Watergate complex, where he unwittingly exposes the Watergate scandal. In 1974, Forrest is honorably discharged from the Army and returns to Greenbow, where he endorses a company that makes ping pong paddles. He used the earnings to buy a shrimping boat in Bayou La Batre. Fulfilling his promise to Bubba, Lieutenant Dan joins Forrest as his first mate, and they initially have very little success. However, after their boat becomes the only one to survive Hurricane Carmen, They pull in vast amounts of shrimp and create the profitable Bubba Gump Shrimp Company. Lieutenant Dan acknowledges that Forrest saved him, however, does not actually thank him for saving his life. Dan invests his money in early tech companies on the stock market, which Forrest mistakes for some kind of fruit company. And the two become millionaires. Forrest gives half his earnings to Bubba's family for having inspired for the shrimping venture. Forrest returns home to his mother and cares for her during her terminal illness from cancer. After she dies, Forrest spends most of his time volunteering as a gardener at the University of Alabama. In 1976, Jenny, recovering from years of drugs and abuse, returns to Forrest. One day, the two are walking and come across the now abandoned house of Jenny's father, where Jenny, in a rage, throws all the rocks she could find at it until she collapsed in anguish. After some time, Forrest proposes to turn to her, but she turns him down, much to Forrest's dismay. That night, she confesses to Forrest that she does indeed love him. They make love, but Jenny leaves the next morning. Heartbroken, Forrest, for no particular reason, starts running and embarks on a cross-country marathon, becoming famous for another feat. Forrest starts to garner many followers, some of whom are struggling businessmen, whom he unwittingly gives inspiration. After a total of about 3 years and 2.5 months running, Forrest decides to end the run and returns to Greenbow, much to the surprise of his followers. In 1981, Forrest gives a letter from Jenny asking him to visit her, and it turns out that's why he's been waiting at the bus stop. An old lady informs him that the address is only 5-6 blocks away, and he rushes off. Forrest again reunites with Jenny, who has quit abusing drugs and has turned her life around. Jenny then introduces him to her young son, Forrest Gump Jr., revealing that Forrest is his father. Initially shocked at the revelation, Forrest starts to bond with his son. Jenny later tells Forrest she is sick with some kind of virus, and the doctors can't do anything for her. The three move back to Greenbow, and Jenny and Forrest finally marry. Among their wedding guests is Lieutenant Dan, now walking on titanium alloy prosthetics, with his fiancée, a Vietnamese woman named Susan. Jenny succumbs to her illness a year later. Forrest is deeply saddened by her death, but becomes a loving, devoted father to Forrest Jr. As the two engage in activities like ping pong and fishing, Forrest also buys the land that belonged to Jenny's father and has the house demolished. Lastly, Forrest sees his son off on his first day of school. Basically, the cast: Tom Hanks as Forrest Gump, Michael Connor Humphreys as young Forrest Gump, Robin Wright as Jenny Curran, Gary Sinise as Lieutenant Dan Taylor, Michael T. Williamson as Benjamin Bruford Bubba Blue, Sally Field as Mrs. Gump, Haley Joel Osment as Forrest Gump Jr., Peter Dobson as Elvis Presley, Dick Cavett as himself, Sam Anderson as Principal Hancock, Jeffrey Blake as Wesley, Siobhan Fallon Hogan as Dorothy Harris, Sonny Schroyer as Coach Paul Bear Bryant, Grand L. Bush, Michael Jace Connor Kennelly, and Teddy Lane Jr. as the Black Panthers, Richard De Alessandro as Abby Hoffman, Tiffany Salerno and Maria Sucharezza as Cunning Carla and Long Limbs Lenore. Pre-production. The film is based on basically as Winston Groom, with the novel both center of the character Forrest Gump. However, the film primarily focused on the first 11 chapters of the novel before skipping ahead to the end of the novel with the founding of Bubba Gump Shrimp Company and meeting with Forrest Jr. In addition to skipping some parts of the novel, the film adds several aspects to Gump's life that do not occur in the novel, such as needing leg braces such as a child and his run across the United States. Gump's core character and personality are also changed from the novel. Among other things, his film character is Lance, a savant. In the novel, while playing football at the university, he falls crap in gym, but he receives a perfect score in an advanced physics class he is enrolled in by his coach to satisfy his college requirements. Novel also features Gump as an astronaut, a professional wrestler, and a chess player. The book had a bidding war regarding an adaptation even before publication, with Wendy Finerman and Steve Tisch acquiring them by joining forces with Warner Brothers, where Finerman's husband, Mark Canton, was president of production. Groom was paid $500,000 and also wrote the first drafts of the screenplay. Which leaned closer to the events of the novel. After Rain Man told the story of a savant, Warner lost interest in the picture, and by 1990, the project was in turnaround. Finerman contacted Columbia Pictures, who went on rejected while hiring Eric Roth to write the script. Roth and Finerman kept in contact with Groom to ensure the script was historically accurate. Roth delivered a screenplay in 1992, which Paramount Pictures chairwoman Sherry Lansing liked enough to bring the project to her studio, who acquired the rights from Warner in exchange for the script for executive decision. Ivan Reitman, Penny Marshall, and Terry Gilliam passed on the project before Robert Zemeckis was hired. Barry Sonnenfeld was attached to the film but left to direct Addams Family Values. However, for casting, John Travolta was the original choice to play the title role and says passing on the role was a mistake. Bill Murray and Chevy Chase were also considered for the role. Sean Penn stated in an interview having been second choice for the role. Hanks revealed that he signed on to the film after an hour and a half of reading the script. He initially wanted to ease Forrest's pronounced Southern accent, but he was eventually persuaded by director Robert Zemeckis to portray the heavy accent stress in the novel. Hanks also said it took him 3 days to learn how to play the role, and footage from that time could not be included. Winston Groom, who wrote the original novel, describes the film as having taken the rough edges off the character, whom he had envisioned being played by John Goodman. Additionally, Tom's younger brother, Jim Hanks, is his acting double in the movie for the scenes when Forrest runs across the U.S. Tom's daughter, Elizabeth Hanks, appears in the movie as the girl on the school bus who refuses to let young Forrest sit next to her. Joe Pesci was considered the role of Lieutenant Dan Taylor, which was eventually given to Gary Sinise. David Alan Grier, Ice Cube, and Dave Chappelle were offered the role of Benjamin Buford Blue, but all three turned it down. Chappelle, who said he believed the film would be unsuccessful. Has been reported as saying that he regrets not taking the role. Hanks was aware of Chappelle's disappointment in missing out on the part and agreed to work with him in a future movie, which ended up being You've Got Mail. Rapper Tupac Shakur also auditioned. Filming began in August 1993 and ended in December of that year. Although most of the film is set in Alabama, filming took place mainly in or around Beaufort, South Carolina, as well as parts of coastal Virginia and North Carolina, including a running shot of the Blue Ridge Parkway. Downtown portions of the fictional town of Greenbow were filmed in Varnville, South Carolina. The scene of Forrest running through Vietnam while under fire was filmed in Hunting Island State Park and Fripp Island, South Carolina. Additional filming took place on the Biltmore Estate in Asheville, North Carolina, and along the Blue Ridge Parkway near Boone, North Carolina. The most notable place was Grandfather Mountain, where part of the road subsequently became known as the Forrest Gump Curve. And yeah, basically that will do it for the 29th anniversary of Forrest Gump. As we got about 13 minutes away for coming up next with the Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson. You'll also be bringing along with a Brian Snow show. You got the Dugout Crew coming up later on. And the Queens New Yorker will be on the David 3000 Network programming. And with that, thank you guys so much for watching this episode of the DMS 3000 News Live, episode 17 for Thursday, July 6, 2023. If you like this, please go to give us a thumbs up. And please like this video, leave a comment. And if you're brand new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. And also don't forget to tap that notification bell under the David 3000 Network on your YouTube app so you'll never miss an upload or a live stream. And if you have any ideas or topics you have in mind that you want us to talk about, feel free to DM us, myself, or Jason DeCanio, etc., and we'll have that be talked about on the program. But with that being said, I am Brandon Martin saying we'll see you tomorrow morning to wrap up the week for DMS 3000 News Live. And with that being said, have a great morning, everybody.
Don't forget to subscribe to the David Dyson Network for great more content like this one.